Hey, what's up you guys? It's Scott with Everyday Home Repairs, and let me show you how to update some old fluorescent lights like this to new, more modern LEDs like this. So if this looks like a project you want to tackle, stick with me and we'll jump right into it. So we're all going to have a little different scenario in terms of the lights and wiring that we're dealing with, and something tells me you guys don't have an old wood structure that you're needing to remove, which I have to get out of here so I can raise up the overall ceiling in the kitchen and then mount the LEDs to the actual ceiling. But my target here is minimal work. So I do not want to paint, I do not want to patch or do anything to the ceiling. I'd like to use the existing wiring, making sure it's safe, making sure there's a junction box there, and then mount the new LED lights. That's what I'm targeting. So whenever you're approaching these projects, if that's also your approach to not have to do a bunch of additional work, do be conscious of the footprint of the light that you're taking off, if there's any painted surfaces or drywall work. So when you go to get your new LED lights, that the base covers any of those imperfections. So when you mount it, you're ready to go. No point painting, no drywall work. So I'm going to jump in, remove this old structure, and then show you the LED lights that I'll be installing. Okay, so most likely the first thing that you're going to tackle is removing these old fluorescent lights. They're super easy and they come out really fast. So let me walk you through how to do that. Eye protection is obviously recommended because you're going to be working overhead. So first, light bulbs come out. That's just a rotation of the light, and then those will pop right out. Very easy to remove. Set that off to the side. And then now you have this box, and you need to get inside this because that's where your mounting screws are and also the wiring that you need to undo. All you have to do is on one end there's a tab where the cover slips into, and then on the other end you'll see a little tab you just have to rotate 90 degrees. Then the plate will come off. Once the plate is removed, make sure your power is not on. So what I always do is turn the lights on, go hit your breakers or pull the fuse and make sure the lights turn off. That's my first confirmation that I don't have any power going to this. My second confirmation is once I start working and expose the wiring, I use a voltage tester. If you're gonna do any type of work around the house like this, this is an absolute must because it's just gonna keep you safe and give you confidence that there's no power to the switches that you're swapping out, the outlets, lights like these, and so on. This one from Klein Tools I really like because it also has a little light on it. So it's super handy. But what I'll do is just turn it on and go to the wires coming in and make sure it doesn't beep at me, indicating if it was beeping, that would indicate there's still power, but we are clear. If you want a voltage tester like this or this specific one, look down in the description. I'll have this link so you guys can check it out and see if that one fits your needs. All right, then I take the wire nuts and undo those. All right, so then I have my two main wires coming in. You might have three. This is an older circuit, so it does not have the ground coming in. The ground would look like a bare copper wire. And then you probably have some type of electrical fitting that is coming through the top that you also need to remove because I want to disconnect the wires coming in away from the light because I'm going to remove it with the rest of this wood framing. guys probably saw I completely failed in not wanting to paint or patch. Once I got all the wood out of there, there was big spots that hadn't been painted for years. So I got all the paint taken care of, and now I'm ready to install the lights, which are right here. The lights I went with is a 4-foot, pretty standard LED wrap light from Home Depot. Pretty inexpensive. These are about $50 a unit, and they will fit really well in this space. This unit, especially when you look for LED lights, right, they'll give you the lumens, which is how much light they put out, and then they'll also give you a Kelvin scale, which will be a K. So on the back, it'll give you those details, one on the lumens, how bright it is. And again, when you're dealing with LEDs, if you're not comfortable with it, there is a scale of the, you'll probably see it before, like the light. Is it a bluish or is it more of a warmer yellow? And that's your Kelvin scale. So this one's 4,000. I usually like to stay in like the 3,000, 3,600 range, but this is right on the edge. I don't want to go to the blue. I think it's kind of an unnatural light, and some people say it's actually not, it might not even be good for you long term. I'm not sure on that, but I'm just staying safe. This is in the 4,000s within the range of what I'm looking at. So let me unbox this, show you what's inside. Okay, so out of the box, pretty simple, right? You have your light itself, and we can actually, it's a little tricky getting this cover off. There are arrows on that end that match up, and if you go on this end and press down, you can actually push the cover under a little metal insert, and that's far enough for you to then pull the cover off the one end and remove it. So then you can see the inside of the light. So you'll see on the inside your LED strips, and then the nice thing is this model comes with, instead of wire nuts, it would be these push connectors, which I think a lot of DIY homeowners and people that are newer prefer these. They just feel more confident with the push pins, and they're clear. You can see what's going on the inside opposed to standard wire nuts. The other thing that came with it was just a box plate. So this would go over like a circular box and help to cover it. And then also a few screws, the white capped ones, which would hold that plate on, and then some anchors, some drywall anchors. I am not a huge fan of those anchors. And then let's actually just point out the grommet. So what this grommet will be used for is you're going to punch out one of these circular, there's two different locations where you can punch those out with a flathead screwdriver on a solid surface. Punch those out, and then that's where the wires are going to come through from your junction box, and you'll put a grommet through there so the wires don't get cut on the sharp steel surface. All right, back to these guys. So these guys are your drywall anchors. They are what's going to hold this light to the ceiling. So what you do is drill a 1/8 inch hole and then hammer these plastic inserts in, and then you will thread the screw in it, and then that will expand out this plastic piece and it will anchor into the drywall. I don't like these. These are super cheap and they don't work very well. So the only thing that I'm changing is I am going to use what are called toggle bolts. So the toggle bolt, this wing here will insert, pushes up through the drywall, and then once it goes past the drywall, it expands out. You pull it down, and then you screw it in tight, and then this surface sits on the backside of the drywall, and then it holds as you screw this down. Then that would hold your light to the drywall. I like the toggle bolts a lot more compared to those cheap anchors. There's a ton of other drywall anchors out there that are better. The problem with these kits is they usually come with those super cheap ones. So you can look down in the description. You'll see the links to these toggle bolts if that's also something you want to go with. So let's jump up and start to install this LED light. All right, so now I'm going to take some measurements and just make sure that I get the mounting locations for the light, which are 2 on each end. And that's where I'm going to drill the hole so my toggle bolts can poke up through there and I can start to mount it. I think one of the hardest parts of these jobs, and sorry for, I know the lighting's all jacked up, but who knew that you'd have bad lighting when you are working on lights? Go figure. But anyway, I'm going to take some measurements, line everything up. This is probably the hardest part of the job, because sometimes you're trying to position it around a spot where you don't have new paint or you have some damage and you want to cover that. I get it, and the thing is, everybody's is going to be a little bit different. So you're going to have to take your time here, get everything lined up, and remember the lights that I got have a pretty small, about 4 inches of coverage on the ceiling before it starts flaring out. So it's not going to actually cover much. When you're out shopping around, they have LED lights like this that have much, much wider bases, like a foot or more. So if you need a large amount of your ceiling covered, because again, you don't want to paint or address that, make sure you're getting a little bit bigger one, so it'll cover everything and it'll look fantastic, and no one will know that it's yellow paint and everything else is white. It'll be perfect. So I'm going to take the measurements and start mounting. Okay, now with everything mounted, we're ready to wire up the light. Your wires coming in might already be stripped. I just need to strip these off. And you probably have a white, black, and a bare copper wire. Your black is your hot. You're going to match black up here to black coming from the light. White, you're going to match up to white. In my case, yellow goes to black and white goes to white. And then again, that bare copper wire is going to go to the green on here. And these are push pins, so that's literally all you do is you push them in and they'll work. Nice thing with these two, they have a viewable window, so you can see if the wire is fully seated and then the copper contact. And everything is good, and that is what you want to see. You don't want to partially push them in because it does take a little force to get them pushed in. That's it. Super easy wiring. All right, one thing that's going to be a little different on these lights, the LED strips are at the top of the light. So these wires cannot be hanging down below the light or cast a shadow on the lens that will go over. So there's all these there's little clips all along here. So you need to use these clips and get the wires as close to the top as possible so it doesn't cast any shadows on your light lens. So with the light switch in on position, I'm going to flip the circuit breaker and confirm that the light works. Once it works, now you can install the lens by inserting the one end in first, pushing it past the metal tab so you can get the other end in, and then slide it back the other way, and your light is now officially installed. Still plenty of work to do overall on this project, but for the kitchen lighting specifically, we are in a much better state. And honestly, for $110, I'm really satisfied with the end product. If you guys have any questions, because again, every situation is different on these type of projects, just jump down in the comments and ask your question. I'll be happy to jump in and help any way I can. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, as we have videos like this coming out on a weekly basis to help you with your repairs around the house. So take care, and we'll catch you on the next one.